Hey, fellow traveler, welcome to Third Eye Awakening. This is a podcast all about spiritual and psychic awakening, where we talk about things like the shift from 3D to 5D consciousness, the nature of time, space, the universe, the multiverse, multidimensionality, starseeds, the Akashic records, all the things. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. I appreciate you so very much. All right, let's get into it. Hey, beautiful beings. Welcome back for another episode of Third Eye Awakening. I am your host, Amy Belair. Before we get started, if you want to creep me on Instagram, you can check me out at thenorthstar.love. And if you like what we're talking about here on the podcast and you'd like to be part of an interactive community, then come join my free private Facebook group called Soul Space. Just send me a request and I'll add you. I would love to have you there. Hello, beautiful listeners. I don't know about wherever you are, but here in Ontario, spring has finally sprung. It was a slow, cold spring, and only just now is the weather beautiful and the leaves are coming out and all the birds are singing, and oh man, it just feels so amazing. Puts me in a great mood. I'm really sorry that I didn't have a podcast out last week. I mean, now my intention is to be weekly now that I'm no longer working my extremely busy and demanding job. But last week I had some stuff going on. Number one was a crazy painful, what I can only assume was an abscess in one of my teeth. It was like I had so much pain. It felt like the worst pain I've ever experienced in my face. It felt like white hot needles running through my upper and lower jaw on the right side, through my gums and my teeth. It was incredibly excruciating, but it went away because I used homeopathy. I'm still, like, I've always been a believer in homeopathy because my mom always used it on us when we were little, and so I've experienced, like, you know, how fast it works when a remedy is the right one. But I am actually mind blown by this one. I used Hepar sulf, which, just so you know, for future reference, is like the antibiotic of homeopathics, and it's really good for infections and like helping to clear infections, heal infections, drain pus, that kind of stuff. I didn't ever have any gross pussiness, not on the outside anyway. It was just like blinding, excruciating pain in my head. But I took Hepar sulf all day when I was having that crazy pain, and no joke, by the next day, the pain was like, it had gone from 10 out of 10 to like 2 out of 10. And now finally today, I can bite down on that tooth and I can chew like normal, and it almost feels completely back to normal. So homeopathy is miraculous. Do not discount it. It doesn't fucking matter if you understand the science behind it or not. Like, there's a lot we don't understand with science, and I'm just going to put that out there. It is so inexpensive. You can't go wrong with it. If you pick the wrong remedy, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have an effect on you. It's like super, super diluted. So it doesn't have any side effects. There's no danger to it. You don't need to see a homeopath for it unless you have a really complicated situation. I'm sure that they are like brilliant and very well trained and educated, and that they can help you, but you don't have to. It's something you can just try on your own. It's accessible. It's inexpensive. I can't say enough about it. It saved me I don't know how much money and a root canal. I'm sure if I'd gone to the dentist right away, they would have said that my only course of action would be a root canal, which I've already had one and I regret getting it, and I never want to get one again. So there's my plug. I am in no way affiliated with any homeopaths or any homeopathic companies, so I'm not getting any kickbacks for this. But I'm telling you, especially, I mean, more than ever during this time where our, sense of well-being, our sense of immunity is under attack or feels, jeopardized more than usual, collectively and individually, I'm telling you that, like, taking proactive steps towards our own health and healing using the least invasive possibilities first is so smart. It's just like you have nothing to lose. So that's my little soapbox moment about homeopathy. Believe it or not, but at least give it a try. And anyway, I can go into like why it's a real thing that actually works. I will briefly go into it because why not? Okay, so if you've ever heard of Dr. Emoto in Japan, he did some experiments that demonstrated that intention affects water molecules, the shape of the crystallization that they make when they... So basically he took water from different sources and he would freeze it and then photograph using a really high-powered microscope and lens. He would photograph the water crystals, the frozen water crystals. So water from pure sources like icebergs or clean rivers produced beautiful, incredibly like precise geometric crystals, and water from polluted rivers or water sources produced like no such kind of symmetry and arrangement and organization in the crystal. It just sort of like looks like an amorphous blob. And then he extended that to taking water from the same source and applying words to it. So like, I love you or thank you, and then freezing it versus I hate you, you make me sick, I want to kill you, and freezing it. And he again took photographs, and the water molecules that had beautiful words put on it, beautiful intentions, produced again beautiful geometric crystals, and same the ones that had like hate and negativity applied to them through words formed, just disarranged, disorganized ice crystals. And then he similarly exposed it to music, and certain music that was I don't know, one can extrapolate anyway that the music he exposed it to, like classical music, before they switched the tuning of a concert, the A concert pitch from 432 hertz, which is a natural like Schumann resonance. They changed it somewhere in the 1940s to 440 hertz. And so anyway, he applied beautiful classical music to it, and they produced beautiful crystals, and he applied like heavy metal and stuff like that. And I'm not hating on heavy metal, so don't get mad at me. This is just what he did. And it again produced like amorphous, disorganized, not beautiful crystals. So that just shows you that water has the ability, and he's not the only one. There have been lots of experiments that have demonstrated that water actually has a memory, and it's what's the word? Like, it's impressionable. It can change its form and its structure, even while maintaining the same molecular base. It can change its organization of molecules to produce or to reflect the vibrational frequency of other substances. So if you were to take a flower and put it in water, if you looked at the water molecule before the flower goes in it, then it's going to look one way. And if you look at it after the flower is in it, it's going to look another way. And then even when you take the flower out again, it retains that same vibrational pattern that it did with the flower in the water. And that is the basis of homeopathy, okay? It's not an actual medicine. It's not a substance that goes into your body. It is, it's not, how do I put it? Like it doesn't have, what's the damn word? It doesn't have active ingredients. That's it. As we understand in allopathic medicine, like over-the-counter medicines or prescription medicines that we're more commonly used to, it has the vibrational frequency imprinted into the format that it's given in. Sometimes it's like a water-based tincture, and sometimes it's like a little like sugar pellet which tastes delicious. And by the way, it's safe for kids and easy to use for kids. Anyway, so it like basically attunes your body to the vibrational frequency that is needed, that matches the whatever symptoms that you're experiencing. So that's as deeply as I'm going to get into it. I could go on and on about it, but I have an actual episode for you today. Oh, also the other thing that had me busy last week was I had the incredible honor of playing a very small role in the emergence of a beautiful new being, a gorgeous baby boy. Oh, and it took a few days for him to make his debut. And so I was just giving text support and phone support, but it really preoccupied my energy and I didn't want to split my focus. So please forgive me, and I love you so much. Thank you for forgiving me. I have an actual interview for you. I'm really excited about it. This is an interview with somebody that I started following. I just happened to see one of his little Instagram videos. Like he does little short videos, a couple of them on his Instagram. And I really liked his vibe, so I started following him. And I just felt compelled to reach out. I was like, he has some things to tell. He is having some experiences. So that's what I did. I got over my shyness eventually and I reached out, and we just recorded this interview yesterday, and I feel like I have some other interviews to put out too, but I was like, why not? I'll put it out while it's fresh. And I think you'll really enjoy it. He's right smack dab in the central thick of his spiritual awakening, and he has a lot of wisdom for his young years on the planet. So without further ado, I will turn you over to my interview with Dominic, aka Awoken Pizza Man.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to welcome my new Instagram friend, Dominic, today.
Hello.
I'm so excited. So I literally just reached out to Dominic on Instagram because I'd been following his account for a few months, and I just really he had a couple videos that he put out on IGTV, and I just thought they were so great. I really liked his vibe, and
Thank you.
so yeah, I had to reach out and ask him if he'd be willing to come on and share any of his story with us, and he was super gracious and willing to come on. So welcome, Dominic. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So I'd love it if you could. Yeah, we were just before we hit record. I told him that I had been thinking about reaching out to him for probably a good 4 to 6 weeks, and I was just putting it off because I'm shy and whatever. And
the timing wasn't right.
Yeah, and then he let me know that he'd been manifesting it. He wanted to go on a podcast, and I was like, oh, I heard you.
Yeah.
So I'd love it if you could share with us who you are, where you're from, and
awesome.
what you're currently doing with your time and your life, this lifetime here on Earth.
Okay. Okay. Well, my name's Dominic. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, in the United States. I am 19 years old, still a little young, but growing up, I did some cool stuff. I probably, of course, how we all kind of have, you'd say, we just get kind of, how do you explain it? Kind of shadows passed down from, our parents or whatever, people above, whatever, who, you get the whole conditioning or whatever. And it's okay. That's, that's life. And we break that cycle, and it's a beautiful experience, But, so, I got hammered with that stuff at a pretty young age, oh, that stuff you see ain't true, I'm like, okay, whatever, it's just a kid, And so, you know, growing up, I kind of got mixed in with some not the best people. You know, you know, it's a process. It's the process. It's what I signed up for. You know, I signed up for that certain stuff, so I'm very grateful for it, and it's a very awesome learning experience to work through all that stuff. You know, but I grew up and I wasn't around the best people, and then finally, when I was about in eighth grade, something just snapped in me, and I just started seeing things differently, you know, just kind of like, what am I doing? Why am I donating my time to this? You know, what is life? Why? And I was like, if aliens exist, why is no one thinking about like I was like thinking like, if aliens exist, don't they have like cities on other planets? You know, just like kind of little stuff like that. And then I like asked my friends and they're like, dude, what are you talking about? I'm like, why is no one like, why is no one like wondering this, you know? And I was like so alone just in middle school, like going off of crazy stuff. And I just fell deep into the rabbit hole and just like, you know, and then I had some out of body experiences and that kind of put me up. And then finally I started actually healing a couple year and like a month ago. I finally actually started healing and getting the most authentic self I can of myself, or most authentic I can, and just healing, letting go, working through traumas, you know, and just like I came into contact with extraterrestrials when I was a sophomore in high school about, and I definitely was like unhealed, so my energy was like shaking everywhere, and I was on like all these pharmaceutical medications, so it's all crazy. But like it all happened for a reason, and it made me who I am today, so I'm just utmost grateful for it. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, I have so many questions. Oh,
go
like so many questions.
ahead.
Okay, so how amazing that like when you're 13, you're like, there's got to be more. Why am I investing my
Literally,
energy into this? Like,
yeah, I
that's really
fell into
amazing.
like a deep yeah.
So when you were younger, you kind
Hmm.
of said that you were like seeing things or experiencing things when you were a
Yes.
kid, but
Hmm.
they weren't really like supported. You didn't have anybody who understood and could give you like guidance
Yes.
and leadership around it, and you were more sort of convinced that that's your
Yeah.
imagination or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of things were you
Um,
seeing and experiencing?
I remember seeing my grandpa when he died. I remember seeing him in the basement in my grandma's house, and I pointed at him and I said, "Hey, Dad, look!" And my dad was just like, "What? What do you see?" And he didn't see anything. I was like, "Look, he's literally just chilling, like right there. Like, how do you not see him?" And I was like 5 or 6, you know. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" So I remember seeing that. I was just really into aliens and Bigfoot and all these cryptic stuff, and like, and then finally, you know, they just were like, "Hey, that's not real," blah blah blah. But the crazy thing is when I was in eighth grade, it wasn't until probably my senior year in high school when I started actually healing and healing and healing and healing more and more and more, where I could actually make room and accept more crazy experiences that I've had. So that's when I started doing the past life regressions on myself, and I started reliving even abduction experiences and just anything really. And just doing that in myself in my room, and then I'd go to like senior year in high school. It's like
Right.
it was just funny, you know. Like you're like, oh wow, I got abducted when I was like 8. That's cool. Time to go to school, you know,
Yeah.
like you know, like it was so funny. And of course I was ungrounded at the time, but it was amazing. But like it was crazy because like this is what I just completely went off topic, but like what kind of when I woke up, like when I started going through the rabbit hole in eighth grade, it was actually kind of, I think it was due to because one of my first Starseed missions that I was set on happened when I was in eighth grade. So when I was a senior, I went back to when I was in eighth grade and I relived actually like what happened those nights. And that's why I kind of was like, oh, now I'm aware, you know,
That's
and I kind of like
amazing.
woke that up.
Will
Yeah.
you elaborate on that a little bit? Like what
Yeah.
specifically you were experiencing?
Yes. Okay. This is gonna sound really crazy.
I don't think it will. You like
Okay. Okay.
honestly.
Okay. Like we've done DMT. We've been here. It's
Yeah.
nothing. No. Yeah. So I remember. So that's when I had kind of my first physical contact with beings. Well, actually, so I've I've had alien friends that have been my best friends for like 4 years now, and we physically go on explorations and stuff because they're like my best friends, and they're also like in touch with my spirit guide, so they also help me through things. But this was like completely separate from them. This was before all that. They were like these tall white like beings that were like really, really tall, naked, freaking eyes. You know, you get it. You know, it's aliens. And so like, I remember them just like standing in my backyard, physically, because a lot of my experiences happen in the physical. So standing outside, like, and there's just a glass door like separating me and them, and my dad was on the computer, and you know, of course, like you're put under the trans, and he's under the trans, and literally they can stop time whenever they want. So it's like he's just chilling there and he has no idea, and I'm just like, whoa, what is this, you know? And so like so they came up to me and they were kind of just like just looking at me, and I couldn't really see what was going on or just like perceive of it because I was like, you know, just so kind of like out of it, I guess. But then finally they put me, I remember just being teleported into my bed, and they would actually due to my past before human experiences, they actually chose me for these missions, and I also signed a contract for it. And basically what it is like when I go to sleep, they actually take my astral body out, and they put it inside of a robotic exoskeleton suit thing. And like I'm literally, so I just import my consciousness into a exoskeleton, and then they'll put me on missions with teams of other people to do things like off world. And I've been on probably 5 or 6 of those expeditions so far.
And do you remember them?
Yes, I do. Yes.
That's wild.
Yeah. Well, I had it wiped, but then I remembered it. And then now that I'm getting very good at it, I'm actually starting to be able to see entities physically with my ego intact, and like having these experiences like how I'm talking to me and you with like no trans or anything. Like I'm starting to see that come into play, which is really crazy. So
wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
When they wiped your memory, do you think that it was more because like so that you could continue to function as a human and like carry on with your life?
So pretty much I have a mission that I need to play here on Earth, and it's still coming up, and we're still doing those crazy training missions and even expeditions, and we're doing all that stuff, training for what's gonna come, whatever. We're still doing that. But the main reason why they're doing that is, for one, I have to stay grounded here, because if I do not stay grounded, I'm gonna want to leave, and my whole mission was to stay here and do this. And two, the reason why I'm actually being able to become fully conscious of this now is because I've put in so much self-work and everything. It's because like I don't even like I have all these crazy experiences, and like I don't have a need to escape, you know. I don't have a need to escape. It's like, oh wow, this is a beautiful planet, and then I come back here, I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful planet, you know. Like I don't have like I don't have that escapism vibe anymore or anything. And that's like, they're like, okay, like you're grounded, like you can handle this. So
like you basically come to terms with being a human on
I
Earth.
love human. Yeah, I love being a human. Yeah.
I know, right? It's so it's just like
so fun.
I don't really ever feel that personally. I don't really feel that homesick vibe, but I can't really remember like where my home is, and I feel very, very like a deep alliance to the earth, and really like it's so beautiful here that it helps me to not want to escape. It's so
and
wild.
it's like there's so much like, even in spirituality, people are saying like, oh, your soul's kind of like, well, some people say like your soul's not designed to like, you know, like do this, do that. And I'm like, yeah, I agree, but like there's got to be a mix between like okay, of course, like you're not gonna work a job that you hate like 9 to 5, you know, of course that's not really good for the soul, I guess. But at the same time, there's like got to be a limit where it's like, okay, but I can still do the dishes and like do laundry, and like I love doing it. I get in the flow state. I'm just like, oh, I can clean this, I can clean, you know, I'm like in the flow, and it's like it's fine. You know.
Yeah.
So it's like it's I figured it out, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know what I mean? Like, so I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you did all this, like you started having experiences and they kind of like blew your mind and you were like
Hmm.
had a lot of trauma and a lot of stuff to work through and probably like just a
Hmm.
lot of yeah, like integrating your human self and with the rest
Hmm.
of yourself in a
Yeah,
conscious way.
definitely.
And so have you just been doing that like by yourself at home without any guidance? Like you're
Yeah.
just figuring it out as you go?
I mean, like, yeah, pretty much. But
Amazing.
oh man, just forever, like, I would not be here if it wasn't for the guides, my spirit guides. Like, I am the most utmost appreciative for them, you know, because I would be nowhere without them. Like, I have a couple that I talk to, and they're like my main that I go to, and they're like my really good friends. And then I have my spirit guide, and then I have like 12 other people, and like, and then I have all these other people, and it's just like they give me the best advice, and they give me exactly what I need to do, you know, whether I want to hear it or not. They even know when I'm ready to hear
Yeah.
certain information. Like, they literally know me better than I know myself. So it's like, it's that's the best help I can get, and that's the only help that I have. So it's like beautiful, you know. I'm just forever grateful for that.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
how did you meet your spirit guides? Like what was
Um.
were they just always there?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So I have a spirit guide, but um, one of my so in I started channeling when I was a sophomore. So I actually became very. So I started like trying to astral project, I guess, more, but I still had a bunch of emotional baggage. But I was like, yeah, whatever. And of course, like, not supposed to do that, but it was an experience. So, but I was like, why do I see demons, but then I see angels? I'm so confused. But I was like, now I get it, you know. But um, yeah. So I started channeling, and I met one of my best friends who's an alien from a parallel universe who speaks English because she grew up around humans in a parallel universe. It's a huge long story, but she's been my best friend, and like, we just, you know, like, we've been through a lot together. We literally grew together, even though she's even an alien too. Like, of course she's on her higher up level, but like, I grow with her technically, you know. And then I went kind of through a dark age after that, a really, really dark age. And then when I came back up from it, it was like, okay, like, we're here, you know. And then I started reaching out. We started like expanding kind of a friend group. We got a friend group, and then like finally I just connected with my spirit guide, and like now it's kind of like she's kind of training to be a spirit guide.
Hmm.
Like, she kind of wants to do that. So she'll talk to my spirit guide, and like she'll kind of be my spirit guide, but she's working with my actual guide, if that makes sense. And I'll like flip flop and do vice versa. And sometimes I'll talk to her guide, and I'll like tell her what to like. It's hilarious, you know. It's just like flip flop, because she does have like an ego, and it's kind of the same. It's not exactly the same as Earth, but it's like they do forget a lot of shit. So you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So they
like
do kind
they
of
kind
have,
of
yeah,
have the sort of amnesia experience of becoming
exactly,
integrated with the
exactly,
yeah.
yeah. And I think that's why we bond so well too. Is just because like she's definitely on a higher level and more advanced, but it's like we still bond, you know. It's not like some crazy 11th dimensional, like, you know.
Right, right.
Yeah.
There's enough common ground between your
Yeah,
experiences. Yeah.
seriously, yeah. But yeah,
That's
um,
awesome.
yeah, then
Um,
we'd physically meet and stuff, so it's
yeah, oh
cool.
my gosh,
It's good.
I have so many questions. I
Go
don't
ahead,
even
ask
know what.
him, ask him.
So, okay, so wait, I have to write one down while I'm asking so I
Yeah,
don't
okay, go
forget.
ahead, go ahead.
Um, okay, so I guess let's start at like when did you remember who you were? Did you
Whoops.
always, were you one of the people that always kind of remembered? Like
Uh,
I love that you use the term starseed just because I feel like one of my jobs is to remind people that they're starseed. So it makes me really
Hmm.
excited when people just already know that they are.
Yeah.
But like, I think when you're a starseed, you kind of come in and you always know a little bit,
Hmm.
but you can't put
Hmm.
your finger on it. You can't articulate it for a long time. But I think,
Hmm.
I don't know, what was it like for you? Like, did you always know?
Yeah, it was. So I have, yeah, it was definitely like coming into this world. I was always the black sheep in school and everything. And I was like, I was always looking at people like I was the kid that was like, oh, someone else did it. I don't want to do it anymore. Like someone listens to that music. I don't want to listen to it. I want my own stuff. I want to be my own self. And then finally I just got like, just going through grade school. And then I was like, I was getting lonely. So I just jumped into like whatever I could. And like I was like, oh, I'm cool. I listen to rap music. I do bad stuff. And it's
Mm.
just like constantly just me suppressing that part of myself, like constant suppression. And because like even like, like people would suppress my stuff too. So then I'd like,
Yeah.
it's just conditioning, of course.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't really have like that big of an idea until, yeah, I kind of knew something was up, but um I definitely knew something was up, but it was just my own ideologies and my own conditioned belief systems that were holding me back that just kept me suppressing it. Um, I feel like, yeah, I'd say that. And then finally, I just kind of was like, screw this shit. And I just like accepted whatever it was. Um,
Like, did you always know that or like, not necessarily always, but
mhm.
did you always have kind of a sense that that
Like,
you were from a different place, that like
yeah,
this isn't
yeah.
necessarily like a bad place to be, but it's not the
It's
place
like
that you're
it's not
used to?
normal. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Totally big, big, big time. Yes. And even like, and it didn't really help when I'd wake up some nights and was on a mission and I'd feel that energy still there and I'd even inflate it even more. Like, I'm not here and I wasn't here last night, like, so I'm
Mm.
like, but yeah, totally, like, totally all the time. And not even that, but just like connecting to specific like aspects of my higher self. Like, definitely that, like, kind of, because kind of like I have a certain, we all kind of souls, or I guess spiritual ego souls kind of have I guess you could say like an expertise, or I guess you could say, kind of like
Mhm.
how human design works almost in a way, like
Yep.
how, yeah. So mine was kind of like I spent some time to experience some stuff before I was human. And that was kind of like a very bold, strong energy. Kind of like, I guess you could say like a light warrior, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
And that definitely was being channeled in unconsciously when I was a kid. Like I'd see something and like I'd kind of get in that like warrior kind of mindset a little bit. But like yeah, I had the vibe of like, okay, I'm not from here, but at the same time it was kind of like I'm not from here, and also I'm unconsciously channeling my higher self. So it was like weird like that, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's so hard to be grounded when that's happening. It's so
Oh my
confusing,
god.
especially when
Ah.
you're not around anybody else who
Mhm.
appears to be, I mean, how, I can't say what other people are experiencing, right? But I remember
Mhm.
when I was in that sort of like similar phase of being like not
Mhm.
integrated in it at all,
Mhm.
and feeling like you were saying, like, why isn't anybody thinking about aliens? Like, I just remember having these
Yeah.
totally wild experiences with time where it would like not be linear, and just
Oh my
these
god,
super fluid and
yes.
time looping and things like that. And I would be like,
Mhm.
why is nobody else having these experiences? Why
Yeah.
is nobody else talking about this? And it makes you feel like crazy and totally
Uh-huh.
ungrounded. And like, I remember my energy was just, it felt like it was too, I don't know, it was like buzzing like crazy and too big to fit in my body. And it was just such a
It's because like you got to make room for the energy too, and it's just like there, and it's like it's like all mixed up, you know. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it's super wild. So okay, so I guess another question I have is which one do I start with? Okay, okay, I'm just gonna go for the big one. Who are you? Like, how do you see yourself now? You know, knowing that it's completely continues to unfold and evolve, and you know, like it's not your all-time definition for the rest of your life, but just at the point that you're at right now.
Who do I perceive myself as?
Yeah, and not limited to like but like beyond that as well.
If I was a monk, I'd say God. but I mean, this is kind of what I like, just stating this random idea. A lot of like monks in Eastern religions say we're all, you know, we are universe experiencing itself, you know, of course, but it's kind of my path to have a spiritual ego and have a soul, I guess you could say, so that I can have these experiences before I go back and ascend to whatever. But I just want to state that out there. But because like I know people, they say, who am I? They're going to be like, oh, you're God. So I don't want people to I just want to kind of put that out there. But who do I perceive myself as? I see myself as just like, because I've seen what my higher self can do. So I would totally, at the moment right now, I see myself as my higher self. But at the same time, I see myself as the ego. And right now it's combining together. And it's becoming one consciously aware, weird ego mashup higher self. And it's like, it's going to be how it needs to be, you know. I mean, it's going to be hard at first, of course. I mean, this process is not easy, you know. I'm making so much room for energy in my body, and there are physical changes that are definitely happening, like to my body, to my life too, but right now I just see myself as a crazy little alien dude that does some stuff, and then at the same time I'm just a dude that likes to eat fruit and play some video games and chill, you know. Like that's how I see myself. How do you see yourself, by the way? How do you see yourself?
Oh man,
it's like kind of a hard question.
Now that I'm like not expecting to have a question. I see myself as somebody who came here specifically to be a little bit like a beacon or like a lighthouse, and help people to like come in a certain direction that are ready to come that way, and like sort of speak, I don't know, sacred divine truths that have been very uncomfortable for me to like speak them, because I'm so afraid of people like just like, I don't know, ridiculing me, I guess. I don't know why that I care. I do not know why I care, but I do very much. I'm afraid of being ridiculed.
It's completely normal. Okay.
But I feel like I'm a being that has existed in, I guess recently I sort of saw it as like humanity itself, and the souls that frequent human lives, human incarnations, come from one like oversoul dreaming mind. And then from beings who consider themselves starseeds often come from a different oversoul dreaming mind, but we're still all within the same like realm. They're just larger dreaming minds. So,
thanks for the download.
Thanks. No problem. So I see myself from a different oversoul dreaming mind and coming in to kind of help wake up this oversoul dreaming mind. And that's what I see. And
that's badass. Good
currently integrated here on Earth.
Good.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, thanks for telling. That's awesome.
So do you remember what your home planet is? Or like, I remember seeing one of your posts
Oh, where I took a
about
picture
the
outside the ship.
pictures. Yeah. And you were like, it's from this place, and like it's not
Oh,
something that
yeah.
we normally.
Yeah, so I took a pic. If you guys in the podcast are wondering, on my Instagram, my guides told me to post these pictures. I wouldn't post them if they didn't tell me, but during a couple of my abduction experiences, I've taken pictures. So I took a picture outside of the ship, like looking at the stars, and then I also took a picture of the ship from outside in my backyard. Follow me if you want to see it. No, I'm kidding.
No, I totally. It's gonna be the show notes. Don't worry. I'm gonna plug you.
Good, thank you. But what home? Okay, so the thing is like, I guess the way that I kind of my definition, I guess you could say, of like a star seed is kind of how you said, where it's like you're kind of just, there's people who literally are from like the seventh dimension and they come down here to like do stuff. And then there's people who literally have been aliens in their past lives. But I'm more so before I was human, I've actually this is my first physical incarnation into the
That's
third dimension. First
amazing. That's
physical. Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
man.
yeah. So,
Welcome.
and thank you so much. It's pretty cool, So, but before I was human, I was on, God, this is a long story. Okay, I'm gonna shorten this. So I remember seeing complete darkness and I couldn't really perceive what was going on. And this being I could kind of feel came up to me, and it's like trying to describe a new color. Like, it's
Yeah,
really freaking hard.
I
And
get
so
it.
it kind of, the vibe it gave off was like, hey, you need to come here and do some stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. So then I saw a rip in reality, and then I could see light, and then I went here, came to this omniverse or whatever, and the ascended masters created separate versions of whatever, whatever. And so then I remember just being like, just straight up just energy, and just like, like moving around. And I went to one spot, and these people kind of bring like this kind of planet, but it was like in the astral realm. It was like, they were just like, hey, and they like kind of accepted me for who I was. So I was a part of them. I stayed with them for a couple eons, and then went to another place. They were really cool. And then I finally like developed, I guess you could say, a soul ego, I guess you could say. And like, I was kind of like, they're kind of like, what do you want to do? And I was like, And I was like, I kind of really want to learn duality, like really bad. So then I went down to like the first and second density dimensions. So like, the whole like kind of like, I hate to call it, but like the hell realms, whatever you want to call it. And I spent there for about 15 Earth years, I guess you can measure it as that. I spent there for quite some time, just learning basically how duality operates, learning how duality, shadow, light, dark, like the polarities between both and all of that stuff. I gained that experience. That was really awesome. And I gained a bunch of other crazy stuff that I might not be able to talk about. and then I came back up here, and I was chilling, and I met one of my, soulmates, I guess you could say, or not, just kind of had a deep connection with like a soul partner. And we were together for a while, and then she incarnated to become this crazy, it's a long story, but I actually met her. She's physically in my life now, which is
Cool.
crazy. Yeah. Like, she's like, me and her best friends. Like, she's like, physically see her. Like, I just texted her yesterday. Like, so that's fun. But so I remember that kind of happened. And then finally they were saying, hey, like, this being kind of showed me Earth, and he was like, hey, like, you could gain really good experience here, and we could really use you with your experience that you had with duality. And I was like, all right, cool. And they like showed me like, okay, this is what Earth kind of looks like, blah, blah, blah. This is what it's going to look like. We need you to create a separate timeline. We're going to send you guides. We're going to send you a lot of messages, but you have to basically listen to us and create the separate timeline. And I'm like, okay, awesome. And then like, I got to choose, you know, do I want a drunk father or do I want one that's going to kind of be more manipulative? And I'm grateful for it. Nothing against them, but and so I basically chose, like, because I was such a powerful being and I knew how duality worked and everything, and I was like kind of just like, I want to get my power completely stripped away from me so I could completely get even more stronger, you know.
Yeah.
So I definitely experienced that here, you know. But yeah, so that happened and I got to choose it and everything, chose the whole thing and stuff. And they're like, all right, well, we're sending you to 2001. You ready? I'm like, sure. And then boop, here I am,
Here you
born.
are.
Yeah. So yeah.
It's so funny. A couple times I've done readings,
Mhm.
because I do Akashic readings for people, and
Yeah, I do
I
that. Yeah.
I can see that they did, like, they chose all the things like you were saying, and but
Mhm.
that it just, like, there's something about choosing it when you're like your
Oh
integrated soul
no,
self
yeah.
versus living it
That's
out.
that's seriously what I recently had to like kind of tweak my soul contract, and I basically had to sit down with my guide saying, hey, like, dude, like, I'm a human and you kind of don't know what it's like, you know?
Yeah.
So like it's yeah, you're literally like, I had to change it because I wanted suffering so bad because I just love throwing myself in the shit situations,
Yes.
and I was
Yeah.
just kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
so I didn't know how hard it would be, but you know.
Yeah, I'm thinking one reading I did for a person in particular who was like, from the soul side, herself was like, she was so powerful and so, like, probably very similar to you, like a very
Mhm.
strong light warrior spirit, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like super experienced, like not a brand new baby soul. I don't know how many lives she'd had because I hadn't
Yeah.
asked, but her soul was like, let me in there, like I can freaking do this, and like I'm
Mhm.
gonna change shit. And
Yeah.
then from this side she's like, oh god,
It's like, oh
what
god.
did I do?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So
Seriously.
we can tweak
Yeah.
our soul contracts. That's an
Yeah.
experience you've had, like just sort
Mhm.
of go back and is it kind of like renegotiating a care plan, like this is
It's so,
this is
it's yeah, it's kind of like I had to get my higher self and all my guides in, and I was just kind of like, it was a little one because they would never, and I would personally never completely change it
right.
because I totally agreed to do this job and I'm going to do it, you know.
Mhm.
And I would never choose a job that's like out of alignment for me. So I'd love to do it, but it was kind of more of like I wanted to experience that like existential dread, I guess you could say, of just going to school. And I did so much shadow work and just tried so hard to love school. And I'm just like, I'm not gonna do this. And so I was like, hey, I want to kind of rewrite that a little bit. And so like, so I'm definitely choosing like a better path onto waking up. They said it's like just becoming fully conscious of and aware of like, because within a few years from now, I'm going to be doing missions and everything while I'm consciously aware, like how I'm talking to you. I'm going to be consciously aware and doing those. Um, so they said, okay, we can see what we can do and we'll find a different path. And it's going to be a lot more ungrounded, but it'll be necessary. So no more school or like, because it was like going to be like I go to school and then I kind of like go onto the secret government job. And like, I just didn't want to do that, you
Yeah.
know? So it's like, I'm already working that job. Like, why would I do that? You know?
Right.
So yeah, but
That's
yeah,
cool.
no more
There
school.
Yay.
Yay.
There was there was another thing that I wanted to ask you.
Mhm.
What did you say? It was something in response to something that you said. I know I definitely wanted to ask you about the timeline that you were talking about.
Mm,
But what was
mhm,
there was another thing. Let's start with the timeline and then I'll probably
mhm.
remember what the other thing was.
Can I, sorry, I
Yes.
get so off topic with this shit. I'm
No
sorry.
worries.
Can I just say like one crazy recent experience that I had?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally.
So So and I'm so grateful that I have guides who actually like can understand and I can work with and literally change like the path, and it's gonna have the same outcome. I'm just very grateful. But so I recently, I kind of can just hop on a spaceship and get picked up like an Uber whenever I want because my friends are aliens. So, like, so I can kind of just do that when I want, and like I just hang out with them. They're really chill. But so me and that one friend that I told you about, the one that we met, I started helping her go through the remembering process, and I'm kind of easing it, but like it's gonna kind of get heavy for her, so I'm being as easy as I can and working with it. So we were on a mission together, or just like a training simulation, like 2 weeks ago, probably.
Okay. On the spaceship?
On like a spaceship,
but
and then
she's just not really remembering as a human.
Yeah, and I did the whole regression on her, and she remembers some of it. And
okay.
I just explained the whole thing,
You were recently on a mission together.
Yes. So I'm not gonna get into that, but we did some stuff. But the crazy thing was, beforehand, I asked my guides, I was like, hey, like, I think, do you think it's too much for me to ask if I kind of can consciously like remember some of this? And they were like, we'll see what we can do. So like I asked them, like, yeah, sure, like you can yeah, like we can do something for you. And I was like, yeah, okay, like I don't want to like freak out though, because like that trip me out if I just like become conscious and there's like a being in front of me, so like, so it was probably, this was like 2 weeks ago. They're like, yeah, just fall asleep and just kind of try to be consciously aware, like just have the like kind of like your astral projecting. So it's like, all right. So I'm sitting here and like, by the way, can the podcast see the video or no?
No, I don't post it,
okay,
but like
cool.
yeah.
The audio. Okay, then that's fine. So I'm sitting in a bed behind me, if you can see it. But I was laying there, and they can stop time, and when time stops, all electronics stop. Okay. So it's probably I'd say it was probably 12 a.m. I was laying there, and all of a sudden I just feel like this energetic I can't like move, and I'm just like chilling. And I open my eyes, I look at the clock, it says 12 a.m. And then all of a sudden it just cuts out, like just completely powers down. My fan and my ceiling fan and all the lights are just dead. And and I'm just laying there with my eyes open, like, okay. And then they're like, hey, like, so you ready? And I'm like, well, like, I'm kind of scared and like kind of freaking out a little bit. And I was like trying to do the shadow work and try to embrace the fear. I'm like, I love you so much, fear. Thank you so much, but it's time to let you go. And it just wasn't helping. And so I was like, well, like, and I was like telling them this, and like I was like, I'm kind of like scared, but like, and then like, yeah, okay, that's cool, but like, are you ready though? I'm like, come on. So they're like, here, just here you go. So then that's when like my third eye opened, and then just like gave me everything. I'm like, okay, that was good enough. And then as soon as like they gave me the whole memory, and then it was crazy. They gave me the whole memory before I went on the mission.
Wow.
It's hilarious, right?
Time.
Literally, yeah. So then I was like, okay, that's good. And then finally everything turned back on. Like, they gave me it, and that was probably like, it lasted like 30 seconds at least, or maybe a minute. And then they're like, all right, see you later. I'm like, okay. And like, by the way, I could hear them like outside the door, like outside my window. And this always trips me out, because every time they take me out of my room and they abduct me, I literally phase through the window. And like, it's a 2-story house, so I'm like, it's like scary, because like you can fall, so like I hate that. But but like, so yeah, so I didn't remember that, thankfully. I did it through regression. But so then when like all the electronics came back on, the clock turned back on, and it was 12 a.m. and then it went to 5 a.m. And then I got knocked out instantly after that. And then my mom the next morning was like, hey, like I heard you like ruffling around in the sheets or something last night. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I don't know. You know.
I don't know what to tell
But
you.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, but and then like soon next month I'll be physically seeing them with my ego. I'll be driving up to Sedona by myself, which would be cool.
Wow.
Anyways, I completely went off topic. I just felt like I needed to
Yeah,
share that
no, that's
recently.
great.
What was your question?
Well, my question was about the alternate timeline, but I remembered my other one was I just wanted to know what you had learned about duality in your experience before
uh
that you brought in with this life, if you can remember any of
yes.
it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not too, I mean, it's kind of taught already, I'd say. I just have a better personal understanding with it, but
Yeah.
it's more of I guess it's just kind of like if you give, like the reason why these beings look scary and try to scare the shit out of you is because they try to get that fear vibration to emit from you so that they can suck it off of you.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only reason why beings try to suck energy off of you, same with like energy vampires or just manipulators in general, is because they don't generate energy because they're not loving within themselves. So they need to, like, literally how reptilians siphon our chi energy,
Yeah.
this whole planet, like that's literally it's the same thing. So literally, like, yeah. So if you just like yeah, I've like woken up sometimes and I've seen like beings like just in my room like staring me down with red eyes and tripping me out, and I just laugh. I'm like like, you're cute, bro, you don't get my energy, and then just go away, because it's funny because like the more you feed it, the more they get it, and if you don't feed it, they're screwed.
Yeah. Then
So,
they'll move on and
and
look
then
for another source.
yeah, and there's been times where I've been so strong from these and so repellent from these beings that they started, like my dad, they couldn't get to me, so my dad was in the other room, and like he passed out because they like messed with him. That was kind of a trippy experience, but I worked through that and it was completely fine. But like, they'll just be aware for everyone. If you start getting into this stuff, they're going to try to do as much as they can for their energy because they're so freaking hungry for it. So even if that includes messing with like, and I don't mean to scare anyone, this probably won't happen to you guys, but like, if they can't get to you, and sometimes they'll get really desperate and try to like get to people that you love or something. So, but don't be scared. Don't be scared. So, but that'll happen
Yeah.
sometimes. But
Do you
mm-hmm.
have like, is there an overall kind of I don't know, like like a higher perspective sort of lesson for like how to accept and integrate those the duality and the polarity?
Yeah. If there, I mean, I feel like every time I get asked about duality, it's very hard for me to describe because it's like I feel it, but I can't put it into words. It's, you want to kind of let things, like you said, how like higher. Sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Well, it's kind of like I was thinking, like, when you're in non-physical and so you're not
Yeah.
directly subjected to it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can kind of see like, oh, this is what it's actually about, and this is the way to allow it to exist without like taking over you. Do you know what I mean? Like that,
Like,
like if your guides were to give you advice on how to deal with it, like that kind of perspective. Did you retain any of that memory of how to deal with it?
like how to kind of retain your energy and fight off these beings in a way? Is that what you're kind of
Yeah, and
asking?
even just like, like you wanted to have that experience to understand duality, so you went to
Mm-hmm.
the lower
Oh,
dimension,
yeah.
like
So like, what if, like, how to like how to not get affected by these beings. Is that what you're kind of asking?
Yeah, and how to understand how it all fits into the grand scheme, I guess, maybe is what I'm asking.
Okay. Well, first off, there's nothing wrong with telling people to go screw themselves. Like, if anyone, even in, not even like a demonic being that's in the astral realm, literally in life, if anyone is straight up just like sucking your energy and just wants your energy and they're shaming you because they won't get your energy, don't give them energy. Get them out of your life. You know what I mean? Like, just don't give people energy that desire it so bad, because they don't have the love within themselves and they're not generating energy within, and then they won't even naturally attract you because of the law of attraction. They're just going to be sucking off of you. So my best thing you can say, there's nothing wrong with, like, it might even, like, a lot of people get the wrong vibe of like spirituality saying like it's all loving, but like, no, like, you gotta get some boundaries. It's nothing wrong with telling people to screw themselves if they're taking your energy, so
Right.
that's the best thing I can tell you. There's a fine line between, it's literally polarizing duality, literally. Like, you gotta say I love you, but screw off, homie. Like, like,
Right.
you know what I mean? And it's not like let's say someone's sucking your energy, you got to remember they are in a way love and light and they still are a being, and you shouldn't deny their divinity. But at the same time, you also got to, like, for your own health, you got to cut them out. So like Tupac, I love this quote so much. It's like, you want them to eat dinner, but just not at your table,
Right.
So it's like, yeah, so it's that easy. Like, you guys just like learn how to love someone, but get them out of your life because they're not healthy for you. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's the same way. It's like demons. It's kind of like, oh, bro, wow, you're like a kind of a weird reflection of me. I never thought that's cool. Okay. Like, so, and like, just another way to kind of transcend, like, I guess you could say, this whole deal is kind of like, I knew that I broke through like the coding when I was like just in appreciation and just observing, and like for example, my mom and dad would be in an argument about something. I knew I broke through the coding and everything when I realized, like, I was looking at them and I was like, yo, like, I see the egos like flaring up. I see the past trauma being purged out one at another. I see
Right.
the energies being exchanged. And I'm literally just standing there in like astonishment, like, whoa, like, it's just like, and then like they'd be mad at me for just like, what are you looking at? And then I get kind of triggered. I'm like, whoa, like, and I'm like, I broke the system. It's like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, where you can just
so
observe it and it's not.
and it's just, and you're in astonishment too. You're like, wow, this is like what? Like,
Yeah,
it's crazy. So that's how I transcended it.
that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And are you willing or able to, like, are you allowed to share anything about the timeline stuff that you were talking about? And or
Yes.
any other aspect of your mission?
Sorry. Okay. A little bit, tiny bit.
Yeah,
Yes. Um.
whatever you're able to and comfortable with.
Um. Okay. They just said I can say a little bit. So, of course, we all have the ability to manifest and quantum jump, but I can only do so much because I agreed to live on this certain timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of learned that there are certain events that can happen that, like, we are limitless beings, I guess. Yeah, of course, but there's going to be certain things that are also going to manifest in here. That made no sense. I'm trying to describe. It's kind of going to be just kind of what I've seen in the timeline that I've been entangled in. It's going to be kind of a shit show. is going to be kind of like, you know, people are going to wake up, and then they're also going to be emitting their past traumas and like reptilians, blah, you know, that whole crazy people, you know, and that's all going to happen. But, you know, sooner or later in a couple years, some other stuff's going to happen where me and my whole little crew jump in and all that stuff happens. But at the end of it, it's all going to be love and light and beauty. So it's going to be completely worth it. That's what I see.
Yeah,
And that's what I've jumped in. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm seeing too, is like
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit hard sometimes for me to accept.
I know, yeah.
Because
and the lower density vibrational energies they're not gonna really be here anymore, you know.
yeah, but I'm feeling like they're gonna put up a last hurrah, like
Oh
they're
yeah.
not just gonna bow out and be like,
Oh yeah. No,
okay, you guys,
that's
we'll
you
leave your
literally
planet to you.
you seriously said it. You seriously said it in like, yeah, that's how it's gonna go. There's gonna be, and it all, like, I was like kind of skeptical about it. I was like, okay, like I felt like everything was gonna stay the same until this whole like coronavirus. I'm like, oh, and the whole 5D shift. I'm like, okay, like now shit's happening, you know. And yeah, so it's gonna be like that, and then it's gonna be kind of like war, and then, but like within probably 6 or 7 years, not gonna be too bad. But it's what we signed up for. It's what I signed up for, you know, and it's
Oh
gonna
yeah.
be really freaking fun. Cause I don't know about you, but fighting in like intergalactic wars are pretty damn fun. So I don't know about you, but
I don't know about you, but like that's what I'm here for.
bro, that's the shit.
Yeah, no, that's really in line with what I'm seeing too. I remember also kind of feeling like, kind of knowing that there was this big shift happening for
Mm-hmm.
a few years. Like I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a spiritual awakening in 2012 because I had already
Mm-hmm.
been awake. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember, I think that's when I started to like become aware that like, oh, we're all waking up. Like we're all shifting.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I think for a while I thought that's all it was gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they closed here, once they extended the March break and closed the schools for the
Mm-hmm.
coronavirus, I was like,
I
oh,
was
it's
like,
here.
oh wait,
Oh,
it's coming.
oh
Yeah.
shit. It's
Yeah.
here. This is,
Yeah, and
and I right away I was like, well, this is why I came. So
yeah,
this is
seriously, it's
what it's for.
crazy. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
And
And it's like the couple months and even the years before, you're just doing all this self work, and you're just like, when is it happening? When is it happening? You know, and then it's just like, here it is. You're like, oh
yeah, but then it makes it so
yeah.
much, all the self-work makes it so much
Oh,
easier to navigate it.
oh my god, yeah. Because like people literally are like, the people who are first waking up, they're like listening to like people who are like insane and like, you know, the crazy, like, you know, the kind of crazy spiritual people that are like, okay, I don't know about that, you know.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of like listening to them. I'm like, dude, I mean, like, you know, everything happens for a reason. I'm not gonna intervene with it. I mean, it's naturally gonna, you know, but like I'm just like I'm glad I'm who I am today because I can see through the shit, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it started when the 5D shift not only was like that a thing, but it was like, damn, like freaking contacted the Syrians and the Pleiadians, and it was like 11th D consciousness like channeling through me. I'm like, whoa. And they gave me all these upgrades. I'm like, whoa. And then my whole physical life started changing, and like, oh my
What were
God.
some of the changes that
Oh,
that happened?
just like manifestations, and like
Mhm.
at the same time just cutting ties with like the closest people I kind of know,
Yeah.
and like literally just going with the flow and just getting like just pretty much just getting out of my house and living independently. It's a big thing. I've been experiencing that a lot. But it's here.
Yeah.
It's here. It's happening. Like the changes are actually like it was literally like I'm like telling myself I am abundance. I am financially stable. I am abundant. You know, And then it just wouldn't happen. I'm like, okay, you know, whatever, just trust the process. And then this all happens and everything is just like, oh, here it is. Here's money. Here's freaking like a car. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God. That's crazy.
That's
Beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah.
I know it's such a wild trip being a
Oh
human
my
being.
God. Human beings are awesome.
They are awesome. They're so
They
beautiful. I
fucking
feel
are.
like the biggest thing that's coming through me right now that I feel like I'm I don't know, a broken record on repeat, and probably the people that listen to me get so sick of hearing it, but they
What?
continue to listen to me, so they must not be, but it's just like we're so powerful. Humans are so
Mm,
divine and
mm,
so magical. Like we have
mm,
powers to influence reality that we don't even understand because we've been
mm,
so heavily programmed to believe that we're
mm.
just garbage nothing beings, and to keep looping around in that
Yeah.
belief system, and that
Mm-hmm.
all we have to do is unsubscribe from that. Just unsubscribe from it,
Just
and
give them, pour some ayahuasca in their Starbucks drink and just see what happens. See what happens.
yeah, it's
Literally.
crazy. And like recently I had this sort of like, I don't know, my guides like send these messages through that I just have to say it out loud, and the one was like,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with you. Like if you stop
There's
and think
literally,
about
yeah.
the thing, you know, whatever thing that a person is like, you know, like what's wrong with me, like, oh, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
attractive enough, or I'm not smart enough, or like whatever thing it is, it's like that's not real.
It's
That's
bullshit,
that's
yeah.
not possible. Like it's a suggestion that was made
Yeah.
that you adopted that's now
Mm.
limiting what you can experience in your own life.
And
But you're
yeah.
so magical.
And it's like even like people like even past trauma
Yeah.
is even like that's it's not a bad thing really. It's not trying to hurt you, you know? It's like everything that's within your being that kind of limits you, even ego and everything, it's there to help you,
Hmm.
you know? Like your ego, like the fear that you feel with your ego when you're kind of progressing and making a big change in your life, that's there just trying to protect you, you know? Same thing
Yeah.
with past traumas. It's literally just trying to protect you from messing up again. So if you communicate with it like, hey, thank you so much for helping me, but I'm gonna let you go so I can ascend, you know? Like you just gotta communicate with it. And it's like it's not trying to hurt you. It's beautiful. Everything
Yeah.
is beautiful, you know? It's like
Yeah. It's so
it's
true.
people get it, yeah.
It's just like if you don't know that about it, then it controls you. Whereas if you
Yeah,
know that about
totally.
it, exactly, you can
It's
just
people are
thank it.
like,
And
it's black dark energy from my dad. I'm like, no, it's just there to help you not mess up again. You know, it's trying to help you. You know,
hmm.
so it's just, and I totally, definitely right now, I think what we really, really need is like, and I think I'm gonna make some videos on this. Is like, we need some guidance on how to actually do shadow work.
Yeah, we need to clear
Because
our Akasha.
seriously, have you seen like if you look up on YouTube how to do shadow work, you don't get really an answer. You know, you just get a bunch of people saying, "Oh, just let it go, let it go, let it go." But like that never works for me. I always held on to it and worked through it and transmuted it. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's better than just letting it go, you know? So
Right. So
I
that you
feel
don't
like
have to like necessarily release it. You just allow it
you
to
just allow it.
transform and
Yeah.
integrate it within yourself.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. You should totally do some
Yeah.
videos about that.
And it's like right now with all these people waking up, it's like they don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like they have no way to like work through their shit, you know?
Hmm.
It's like so
Yeah,
so yeah.
I've been getting very much the same information. Like, wow, we have a lot of collective PTSD that is like
Hmm.
showing up in this one confluence
Oh
of
my god, yeah.
circumstances that's like
Hmm.
so ready to be like we have individual PTSD, and then we have
Hmm.
ancestral PTSD and
Oh my
collective
god.
human global
And then
PTSD.
freaking past trauma PTSD,
Yeah,
like or like past
totally.
life trauma, you
Exactly. There's
know?
so much, and it's just so ready to be like purged and healed, which is why
Oh,
everything that's going down is so intense.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
But like we
Hmm.
totally can just um yeah, work
with
just,
the correct awareness, we can totally get through it within a couple. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
That's it's exciting. You're right. It's exciting. But sometimes
Yeah.
I'm such a, well, I live in Canada, so
Mhm.
you know, like the summer is a really exciting season because
Mhm.
the rest of the year is pretty cold, or at least the winter. Like 6 months out
Yeah.
of the year is really
Yeah.
cold.
Wait, what part of Canada are you in?
I'm in Ontario.
Oh, okay. I got a couple friends that are in there that are all spiritual. Yeah. You
Yeah.
love me. Yeah. Anyways, what were you saying?
There's a few of us.
Yeah.
So I love going to the beach and
Mhm.
in the summer and going camping, and like that's my
Ooh.
big, like it's my big thing right now. It's like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, what if I don't get to have that anymore because, you know, shit's going
Mhm.
down.
Mhm.
It's exciting, but it's also scary to live through these times and realize all
Yeah.
the, like, you know, beautiful emotional attachments and sometimes like non-beautiful
Mm.
emotional attachments to the way things are, to the status
Mhm.
quo, and having to be strong enough to release
Let
them.
it go. Yeah. 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 It's very scary, but like it's gotta be done, you know.
Mhm. And it literally
It's
is
not
why we
easy.
came. It's why so
Yeah.
many of us came.
Yeah. Literally we came here to like suffer and feel like shit. You know.
But to be able to bring enough consciousness to
Oh
it
yeah,
to
of course. Yes. Yes.
transmute
That's
it. Yeah,
yeah, true.
uh, that's great.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing too a little bit about your um, experience in the Akashic records and like what kind of
Mhm.
stuff you do with that?
Yeah. So I do regression hypnotherapy. Um, so I have little clients and I put them under a hypnosis, and whatever they are in alignment with and whatever questions they want to ask, I'll connect them with Akasha and they can just be shown whatever it is. Um, Basically the process that if anyone in the podcast isn't familiar with Akasha or Akashic records, basically it's a consciousness that basically stores all memories of past, present, and potential future, and every single thing is there. Alternate reality, every pretty much thing is there. And so you can only be purest of heart to connect with it, and if you're not ready to see it, then you will not be shown. um so for example, I'll put myself under a trance state and I'll connect with the Akasha or the Akashic records, and I'll ask, hey, can you show me where I was in a past life at this time, or show me exactly where I was yesterday at 5, blah, blah, blah. And it'll show me the memory through visions, or maybe you'll feel it. It's just energy that's shown, and you take it and perceive it. So you can perceive it in many ways. But um, the process that I do is I like to completely cleanse my clients, or even myself. It's best to do, you completely cleanse them, so you get rid of all the, I guess, negative energies that you picked up. You fill them with the positive. You shield them, but you shield them so that like you shield them so it's like they can only experience positive energies that come in, but no negative influences can affect. You connect them with Akasha, and one of my best friends actually taught me how to set like a privacy veil, so like no beings can kind of come
Oh,
in and
cool.
see what you're looking at. And then we'll relive whatever we want to see. And when they're done with that, my also the same friend also taught me how to collect all the energy back in, so it's like we were never even there. So I like,
Cool.
so yeah, value privacy with it. But yeah, so that's it. Yeah.
That's awesome. And how did you
Mhm.
come upon working with the Akashic records?
So my I actually hit up one of my hypnotherapists, because my guides told me, hey, it's time for you to relive your abduction experiences. So I had a couple done to me by a certified, hypnotherapist, whatever. And probably a couple times after, I was like, this shit's kind of easy. I think I could do it on myself. So,
Yeah.
but like I had to, of course, like you have to be you got to know what you're doing. You got to be careful. And, because the worst thing you could do is just tread freaking, like, you could just go into it without healing yourself, and you're just gonna be like walking mud footprints of negative energy in there. And like, there's a higher chance of you picking up like the wrong information when you're not, like, you know, in that space of like openness, when you're in the space of using the mind to analyze instead of accepting it through the heart. It's gonna be a mess. So like, I definitely like kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna be very careful and just know what I'm doing at least, you know. And so I was just kind of doing his technique, and then my guides, of course, were kind of like coming in and saying, hey, this can actually work for you easier, and this works how to do this easier. And so I basically built my whole craft on how it works easiest for me and stuff, with the help of the guides and the Akashic helping, you know. And when I do it on clients, my guides can communicate with their spirit guides. So, and also I'll tap in and see, I'll sometimes, with their permission, I'll tap in and see what they're seeing, so I can also help them out a little bit. And it's very personalized, because my guides, I talk to their guides and they say, hey, try doing this because they might be restless with their legs. And I kind of have to go through it's a very personalized experience.
Yeah.
I like to bring for them to be as most comfortable and most like into the experience. So I kind of just accommodate with that way. But I just got into it just from getting it done to me, basically. So yeah.
That's awesome.
How did you get into it?
Oh, I got into it because 4 years ago I ended up losing my newborn son.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thanks. When he was 20 days old, and it was a really like extremely painful, but it also very beautiful and like holy experience. And but the grief was really overwhelming, and I was like absolutely destroying myself with questions like, what did I do wrong? What did I do to cause this? And like, as our mind does. And yet my heart knew that like he was nothing but a gift to me, and I would do it. I would relive it over and over and over just for the honor of being his mother. So I was like, there's got to be a different reason other than the ones my mind is coming up with. But I need to understand why it happens so that I can move on and be like a healthy person, and be a healthy mother to my other child. So I heard about the Akashic records on a podcast, and as soon as I heard the words, they sounded like beautiful magic to me, and it's like my soul was like, there, go there.
There it is. Yeah.
And I signed up for a course to learn how to do it, and the course was like, for me at the time, it was super expensive. It was like, I don't know, like $1,200 US or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a great course. Like, she did a beautiful job, lots of super high vibe information. But I was like, I already know all this.
Yeah, you're literally like,
so I was like, I already know all of this stuff. And I just decided to try going in, and I went in with the big question. Like, I didn't like do any practice questions first, and I got like
whatever is in alignment.
I got the answer, and I realized like, we have these misconceptions that we're not allowed to have the answer. And there are times where I believe that things are sort of shielded or veiled because it doesn't serve us to have that piece of information or that piece of the puzzle. But we're actually privy to so much more information than we believe generally that we are, because we kind of have these layers of social programming and like religious programming, things like you're not supposed to know. It's not for you to know. It's for the higher ups to know, but not you. And I was like, oh, like I just get to find out and heal. And it was so healing, like so healing and transformative, that I was like, I have to do this for other people. And I have to figure out, like, I have to do it enough that I feel comfortable teaching it, and then like teach other people how to do it and make it accessible, and like help people to know that it's not really a magic trick. It's just like you forbidden. Said, like there's like fundamental information that you need to know so that your vibration is like
good enough to connect with.
Like is just like you can get yourself to a stable, high enough vibration that you have access to the information. But that it's actually like, apart from that, it's not a complicated process at all.
Yeah,
It's
seriously,
like
it's so easy. It's so freaking easy. Like, oh my god, it's hilarious too. I'm just like,
oh, that's
like,
totally, yeah.
It's hilarious. They're like one of my friends is like, how are you reliving all these past lives? It's got to take you like hours and stuff to be in like I'm like, dude, literally just close your eyes and like it's so easy.
It's so short, and you get them in these little downloads, but it's so, and then it's just, I feel like it's just like you have a piece of the puzzle or several pieces, and you're able to be like, totally. Oh, like, oh, I see. Oh, that's why this relationship feels so strained, and I don't have to continue to engage in it in this way anymore. Or like, that's the belief that's been holding me back from, you know, experiencing this or that or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. And like the cool thing is like, not only have I had, you know, we have the crazy experiences, but there's like, well, the only reason why I guess my guides tell me, hey, like, you're not allowed to know this just yet, but like that's normally when I begin to learn it later, at least, because for one, I have to be grounded here, and for two, like, it's just going to be a overwhelming information, you know. But the cool thing about like just with all this is kind of like, not only are you reliving past lives and your experiences and your parallel stuff, and I even relived like pretty much my lineage, like from my ancestors.
Wow,
like,
amazing.
I started doing that
Love
shit.
it.
Yeah. So and I figured out like back my mom's side is from Atlantis. My dad's side is related to a Nordic Valkyrie, like in Norse mythology.
Wow.
And then I realized that my best friend that I knew in a past life actually incarnated before, like way before, to be a Nordic Valkyrie. And she actually hooked me up with one of her Valkyrie friends to give me that lineage time, like family tree, whatever. But I'm getting off topic. Okay. The best thing is like, the cool thing about this is like, you can actually just simply just go back and see why you're feeling a certain way and heal it.
Totally. Yeah.
You know, like I had a very jacked up kind of like just disgust on like just kind of like just a sexual relationship, I guess you could say. And it was kind of just like, I worked with it and just kind of dealt with it my whole like life. And I'm just like, why do I feel so disgusted by like people like doing this nasty, like, you know, like I've always been very conscious of my energy. I'm never going to give away my energy to someone unless they deserve it and I can benefit, and it's a beneficial relationship, and it's like beautiful romantic relationships. I'm never going to do anything besides that, but like that's just my thing. But I would just get disgusted when I kind of hear something. But I figured out that when I was 5 years old, something actually happened to me, and that was causing a lot of just past trauma and just judgment in that second. And that was like, I don't even remember that, but it was causing all this bullshit. And so like, I got that out of me, and now it's like, yeah, I still know my boundaries. I still know what I want and know what I'm going to do. But at the same time, when I hear someone talk about it, I just don't give a shit, you know?
Right.
And it just doesn't hit anymore. And it's like, damn, like if I never knew how to do any of this stuff, I would have never gone back to that moment and seen it, you know? So
yeah, totally. And like,
it's amazing.
So many people are walking around with things lodged within their like subconscious psyche, like that, like an experience that they can't access with their conscious mind, but that is nonetheless influencing the way that they experience life. And like, you also don't, it's amazing because you don't have to go to, you know, years of therapy to like potentially uncover it or not, right? Like, it's,
my God.
you can just bypass all that and go in and
you feel sad.
why.
Here's some medication. You feel sad.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, no.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's such a gift. It is such a gift to know how to do this. Cause like, you can literally know anything, you know? Like,
I know.
And it's like so awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like just people should just know how to do this, you know. And it's first we got to teach them how to be on the right vibration for it. But it's just such a gift, you know. It's just,
Absolutely.
oh God. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's beautiful.
I
And
feel
just
like I
open up
could
doors.
literally ask you about 1,000 more questions. But I can hear that my daughter is awake now, so I should probably
Oh,
go.
okay. Totally. Yo, yeah. Do you think?
Yeah, but I'll probably invite you to come back on so that I
Thank
can
you
like go
so
into
much.
all the
Yes,
other
thank you so
questions.
much. Yes. I want to ask you some questions too, because it was all about me this time. So
Yeah, well, I mean that's the whole point. I want to hear.
okay,
I want to hear about your stories.
okay,
Um, but before we go, like, is there anything
good.
else that you want to share for the listeners? Uh, like anything that you offer, or just anything that you, yeah,
Okay.
anything.
Well, next time you have me on, I'll talk about my possession experience and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But all crazy stuff aside, things that I want to say is love yourself as much as you can. Whatever idea that you have where it's saying I'm not worthy, because literally take that idea and like throw it out the window because it's stupid. So just love yourself and
Yeah.
and just go with the flow. If you feel like shit one day, sit in it. Don't try to come up for air. Just sit in it and let it flow through you.
Guys, how great was that interview? I honestly feel like I just began to like barely scratch the surface with Dominic, and I'm so excited to have him back again because I feel like there's so freaking much to talk about. I really hope you enjoyed the interview too. And I wanted to take this opportunity to let you know that as of today, I am ready to launch my course on reading the Akashic Records, how to go into the Akashic Records, how to frame your questions, how to receive the information, how to know if you're in the records, what to do if you aren't getting any information. All the things that I know, basically. Like, I don't hold anything back. I just share with you everything that I've learned about the universe, about time, about our experience in lives, what our missions are, what kind of information is really the most helpful to us, my process, other processes that I have heard of that work for other people, and yeah, everything. It's a 5-week live program, meaning that I will do all of the modules live, and people can join in or watch the recording if they're not able to join during the live session. And there is one bonus Q&A session in week 6 after we've gone through all of the information. Yeah, baby, trees. I'm outside with my daughter right now, taking any moments I can get. She loves trees. Trees, baby. Anyway, I'm so excited about it. If you want any information, then just DM me. I have things up on my website. I have information on my Facebook, on my Soul Space, all my social medias. Let me know if you have any questions. And of course, I will be doing more episodes, sharing more about it on future episodes. So yeah. Oh, and we start June 10th. No, June 6th. Sorry. All right, that's it. Take care, you guys, and I'll catch you at the next episode. Thank you so much for being here with me through this episode. You are beautiful, magical, and powerful. You are so appreciated. Please don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share, and I hope to catch you on the next episode.